Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Turn-Based Memories. We're on Chapter 3 of Final Fantasy Tactics with my co-host Mel, who's playing it for the first time, and myself, the legendary Zoltan, who's played it lots of times. How's it going, Mel?
Oh my god, it is going.
Okay, that's good. Better than not going, I suppose. So this is a JRPG podcast. One of us has played the game before and is a fan of it, and the other one is always playing it for the first time. That's our format. And if you think you're going to enjoy this, I'll just get it out of the way now instead of at the end. Go ahead and share it somewhere on the internet. Tell your JRPG friends all about turn-based memories. And with that, let's get started with Chapter 3, Mel. So we're going to go this time. We actually have a kind of system to go by for once. So we've labeled each battle. So battle number 1, there are 11 battles in this chapter. In fact, I think there's 11 battles in every chapter so far. So
Correct.
Yeah. So chapter 3, first battle was at mining town Goland. And by the way, if you for some reason didn't listen to the first episode, we're using the names from the Final Fantasy Tactics PSP War of the Lions translation, although it's not actually that version. We're playing the PS1 version with that PSP translation patched in. Okay.
Right.
All right, so yeah, first one is Mining Town Goland. Go ahead and give me your notes first.
Sure. This one I thought was really easy. I feel like I had a hard time, except for the last battle in Chapter 2. The game was kind of giving me a pretty stiff challenge, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. I'm probably in for it now. And this one was super easy. There was a character, I didn't know who he was, a geomancer, who I don't think I had encountered that job at all at this point.
Oh, that's a pretty early one you can get, too. So that's kind of surprising.
Yeah, because I think that we'll get to it, but I had really not been experimenting much with the job system up until later on in this chapter. But yeah, this is the first Geomancer I had noticed, I guess. And he was really doing a lot of work. He was laying down a bunch of status effects on the other guys. And
are you referring to the guest character or one of the enemies?
No, the guest character.
Orin. Okay, yeah.
Correct.
Okay. That's right, he was a geomancer.
Yeah, he was.
But did he not use an ability called Galaxy Stop or something like that?
Yes, and I think that was the move that was doing the work I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's not because he was a geomancer. I thought at the time it was. I was like, wow, geomancers are cool.
Yeah, I don't believe that is a geomancer ability. I think that is an Orin-only ability.
It probably is.
I think.
But regardless, he was putting in the work, and like the enemies couldn't move, and they couldn't. I think they were silenced. A whole bunch of things. I was like, "Oh, this is great!" I just walk up to them and bop them on the head.
I didn't have as much luck as you with Orin's AI. I guess he didn't kick everybody's ass as much as
the AI. We'll get to it. The AI super fucking hot and cold in this game.
Hot and cold. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay. Anything else about Mining Town Goland? I got my notes.
No, that one was pretty straightforward for me.
Okay, just to remind people of the map, this is the snow house. Is there a house in the top?
There's I would say it's about 7 or 8 blocks high.
Yeah.
It's quite high, and there's like a house on top of a hill and then like a pitched roof above that. So it's very vertical.
Right. And then there's snow completely covering the map. Yeah, that's right. The snow didn't, if I remember correctly, did not have any depth to it, so it didn't limit your movement at all, yeah.
Not that I noticed.
Yeah. Okay, I wrote here, I didn't write anything about the story other than we met Orin, which in the original game, the original translation is just Olin with an L, way easier to pronounce. And I just wrote, I enticed a thief with an awesome knife, and I enticed a chemist with an awesome gun, although I don't remember what was so awesome about his gun. The freaking dude. So enticed means I put the traitor status effect on them, and they permanently joined my party.
That's so bananas.
I know,
that's right?
Right?
You're doing this very weird,
40% chance to totally destroy everything. 60% chance to be completely obliterated game.
And I'm doing the like super fucking normie first time playing mode.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess other than my thief and my orator, I'm kind of normal. You know, I got a black mage and dragoon and a knight. That's it. So yeah, but yeah, those two guys, I'm doing lots of crazy stuff with those two, with the thief and the with a ninja actually, who is stealing, and with my orator who is Ramza. And yeah, the reason I wanted to keep, I like the orator, aside from the fact that I'm using this entice ability, is they can equip guns is pretty cool to me. So I like that because the range is insane. And also it has a 100% hit rate. Nobody can avoid the bullets.
Right. I hope
Which
not.
makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
So, man, dude, the freaking knife that this girl had, I wish I could remember the name of it now, but
What did it do?
the thing about it, it's a totally normal knife, but except it just has insane weapon evasion stat, 40%. So that's kind of crazy. So, and who is it? My thief. That's right. So my whole strategy with my thief character, it's actually a ninja who just has the steal ability. And my whole strategy is that if I run out and run right into the fray and steal some dude's sword, you know, okay, I'm going to get that guy's sword and that guy's not going to kill me. But the three other guys are going to just gang up on my ninja and kill her outright. How am I going to protect against that? And my strategy is I put on the reaction skill parry, which is not actually a reaction type reaction skill. It's always active, which just allows your weapon evasion to be factored into the evasion equation when you're being attacked. If they attack you from the front only. Yeah, I don't think it works on the sides even, only the front, I think.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
Yeah, but if you can get your guy in an advantageous position, oh my God. So later, I became able to buy another one of that same type of knife, so I bought another one. And ninjas don't equip only one weapon, they equip two. So I equipped two of those, and lo and behold, people's chance to hit me is like 17%, from the front. So that's my strategy with keeping my ninja alive while she goes around stealing people's weapons. So yeah, there have been better knives coming out later in this chapter. I didn't put them on. I'm not even using her for damage, really. I just want to steal people's stuff, and then she can block with her freaking 40% knives. That's so awesome.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing a very interesting playthrough here. A lot of crazy tactics happening.
Yeah. Fourth time through the game. Okay. So then we're going to go on to the second battle, which took place at Lysalia. You want to go ahead and describe the battlefield of every area, since you have screenshots open? Is that right?
I do.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and describe the battlefield.
I took some screenshots because this is the only way I'll remember, like, for sure what each battle. Because I'll write notes and, like, days will go by. I'm like, wait, what was that?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
The only thing is, I'll interject before this battle. There's a cutscene where Ramza is talking about Delita, and he's like, I don't even know what the hell this guy's up to. And I'm like, me neither.
Yeah.
And that's a whole discussion we had in the last episode. Like, what the hell is Delita doing?
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah.
And we were all confused about it, like we weren't like getting the right info, but I don't think you're supposed to know clearly yet at this point.
So this scene was Ramza saying he doesn't know what Delita's doing?
Yeah, he was like, who's pulling the strings on this guy? Like, he's out there doing something, but why and for who? And what's his goal? Like, what's going on with this guy?
Indeed. Okay.
So I felt good about that because, like, yeah, all right, good. I'm not supposed to know yet, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, we went on and on about it in the previous episode, trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. All right. So our second battle here is against some dude from the church named Zalmor. And
Confessor Zalmor, right? He's a confessor.
Right? Zalmor,
yeah.
That's correct. And the battle here is that you start out on the opposite side of a large wall with a gate in the middle of it. Yeah. And then that opens up to a platform that has a ramp going down one side. And there's like a small, like, chest-high wall. So it's like a porch almost with a ramp going down one side.
Yes.
And then beyond that is a low field where the enemies, I believe, all start down there looking up at you. And so you have to funnel in through this little door, and all your guys are kind of way on the opposite side of that wall. So it's going to take them a couple turns to get all through through this door.
Yeah.
And this one took me a little bit. Um, but the thing is, whenever this game, I've noticed, whenever this game gives you the objective to kill a boss, at least I will try to just like bum rush them and see if I can just totally get them and not care who dies, because they don't die until 3 turns. So if they go
Right.
down,
It's okay
you
for
can. It's
yeah.
okay, right? So I've found some success doing that,
So you bum
including here.
rushed Confessor Zalmor?
Mm-hmm. I was able to just kind of get my fastest guys over to him and just like say, fuck it. Like, because initially I was being more conservative. I was like, all right, I'll take out these guys. These guys coming up the other side that doesn't have a ramp has like a step that you can jump up. So I was like kind of pinned down over there, and there everyone is so beefy and tanky that it's really hard to just kind of go blow for blow with these guys
Hmm.
while they're getting healed, because I think Zalmor heals them a whole bunch.
Uh,
And then you're getting rained on by, I think there were archers on this map.
there might have been. I don't remember,
I
but yeah.
believe there were in the screenshot. It looks like there's a couple archers here. And so just all that is quite a lot of damage that you have to do, while damage you have to absorb or avoid. So I was like, this isn't working. I don't think I had the numbers for this. And I just realized, well, I just gotta kill this guy, and he's super squishy. So if you just get to him,
Hmm.
chances are, even if you're not like super grinding out of your mind, you can probably kill him in one shot, which I did.
In one round, you mean? Not in a
I'm not
single
sure if it was.
character, right?
I wrote one shot, and I think I used
Dude.
Ramza as a monk.
Oh, I
He's a
guess he could. Yeah, I guess our monk
he's a
could.
really strong character. At
Hmm.
that point in the game, I may have been a little, past the curve a little bit with this particular character, and
Yeah,
I'm
I
pretty
believe you.
sure I one shot him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, he is in every battle.
Right.
Except, yeah, I don't think you have. Do you have to bring Ramza for random
Random?
battles?
No, it's the only ones who don't have to, but I always do because I'm
Me
like,
too.
well, you should be,
Yeah. Right. I have also. Yeah. Yeah. And then he's in every battle, so he's like 3 or 4 levels higher than all my other 4 guys. But
for sure.
yeah. And then he starts out with like he's got like 70 brave. That probably helps.
Yeah, probably does. So my general team comp at this point is Ramza and another guy are both monks. Then I
Okay.
have a black mage and a white mage, and usually you get 5, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Usually
one,
get at
two,
least one
three,
more.
4. And then I've got who else? Who's my fifth? A can't remember at the moment, but I was kind of cross skilling the black mage with white mage skills and the white mage with black mage skills, so they
Hmm.
were kind of leveling up with each other a little bit. And the monks were just there healing and dealing the damage because they're an incredible all-rounder class.
Yeah.
Or at least early on. I don't know if they stay that way, but
I
they've
think they
been
do.
really good.
I think they're useful all the way till the end.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I have some notes here. Confessor Zalmor comes to arrest us for the murder of Cardinal Delacroix, which we did
Right.
do, and heresy, which is questionably if we did it or not.
Uh-huh.
But we did murder Cardinal Delacroix, and freaking Ramza tried to tell him, dude, he got turned into a Lusavi from the Zodiac Stone, and he's like, nah,
Uh-huh.
I don't believe you. So a lot of people not believing others in this game, man. I don't like. It drives me crazy when I see that. When I see, yeah, like when I see like any scene in any media where like somebody's telling the truth and the other person doesn't believe them, I'm like, no, he did it. He's telling the truth. Like it drives me crazy.
Well, if they
So
believed him, then the story wouldn't happen.
I guess so, yeah. And I just wrote that I critted a guy with a freaking gun for the first time. And the thing about guns is they oh I think they ignored defense in this game.
I
That
believe
might
they
not be
do.
the case. I don't remember now, but it
They
did
do in
100 and.
12.
I'm sorry. Yeah, they do in 12. Right. But it hit for 144 damage, which is a lot
Oof,
for me, actually.
that is a lot.
Is that a lot for you, not for you as well?
I don't know that I'm smacking people for that much normally. Like, I think Zalmor had roughly that much HP, and he had like probably no defense of any kind or evasion or anything. So I
Mm-hmm.
think I smacked him up pretty good.
Yeah. My knight with 2 swords can do a little bit more than that, but he has to use 2 swords to do it.
Right.
Um, and but yeah, like my magic doesn't usually do over 100 damage. It usually does like around 90 or so. So anyway,
Mm.
and yeah, I wrote the note that you only had to take out Zalmor, but I didn't do that. I went ahead and tried to fight the battle normally until I started getting a little bit killed. But overall it did go fairly smoothly. But once one
Yeah.
person dies, I have to worry that they're going to turn to crystal. So it's like, okay, now I guess got to finish this battle as fast
Yeah,
as
you gotta
possible.
step on the gas, or or then you're on the back foot, and you gotta start rezzing them if you even have that. Like, are you able to res people
I
reliably?
I have no healing abilities in this team.
Oh
Not
boy.
yet. The thing is, the character that is supposed to be that is named after my 7-year-old daughter. I was like, "What do you
hmm
want to do?" And I listed all the possible things. And she's like, "Okay, pick two." And she's like, "Okay, black magic and white magic." But I want the white magic clothes. So I have her as a black mage right now. Once she finally masters the class, then I'll switch her over to white mage, and then we'll have healing and offense in
Sure.
one character. But until then, nobody's using item and nobody's using white magic. So I'm being
Oof.
kind of careful here as
Yeah.
much as I
The
can.
Black Mage has a lot of skill. Like mastering that class
Takes
can take
points,
a minute.
yo. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just the level. There are three. Yeah, Firaga. No, Firaja,
Yeah.
Thundaja,
Yeah.
and what's the other
And a
one?
bunch of other really
Ice.
expensive ones.
Blizzaja, and
Yeah.
then Flare and Death. Those 5 each are like
Ugh.
900 a piece.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah. So I'm that's all I have left is just the three Ja elemental spells. So
Hmm.
then finally she'll be done. Can move on, get some healing in here. But anyway, I did some freaking awesome stuff. Like for example, um my freaking dragoon can like target people through the castle wall to jump, I mean. Right?
Uh,
So I just you can target them through the wall, and then they jump into the air and over the castle wall and come down and hit them on the other side. No problem.
sure.
Also, black mages can target dudes with magic
Oh,
straight through
for
the
yeah.
wall.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I only had to get like 2 or 3 guys out
So
there.
were the enemies coming up that close? Were they up on that ramp?
Yeah, they'll walk up the ramp if you stay back too
So
much. Yeah.
right, okay. I was fighting them more at where they were when I was doing it. So I guess I could have hung back more.
It seems to me like a really awesome strategy would be something like to put someone right just in that doorway or whatever, or just
Mm,
keep them all behind the walls and then
hmm
let them funnel in one at a time and take them all out and maybe buff the people in the front if you have buffs or something. That sounds like a really cool way to do that one.
It probably would have worked because I don't know that they had very many characters who could attack through that wall.
Yeah, like I think they had a lot of knights, right? So
Yeah, it was knights and archers, so they would
yeah,
have been out of luck.
yeah. So they would have been coming in one at a time, and you could have been roasting each one.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
man, that's awesome. So
All right.
so that's it. So that's all I got. And
That one was fairly straightforward, I thought.
yeah, and there was a really important scene before the battle, though. Freaking
hmm
at Lasalia Castle, Zalbag and Alma are there, and Ramza talks to Zalbag and tells him that Dystarg is the one who created the plot to have Princess Ovelia captured and then assassinated, but Delita saved her. And Zalbag got
hmm
pissed off at Ramza for saying that. Like,
hmm
Dystarg would never do something as evil as that, yo, was his response.
Right. Yo.
Yeah. Yeah, he put yo at the end.
Yeah, you did. That's
Dystarg
what
would
you thought.
never do something as evil as that, yo. Okay. And then after that scene, after that battle, there was a scene with Alma. And Alma says she saw Magicite at Orbon Monastery. And
hmm
so I guess, yeah, I think that's the next place. That's the next place you happen to go. And I also wrote that after all that, I did some errands. And out of 7 or so errands that I did. I didn't do all of them because as the map gets bigger and bigger, like my drive to do all the errands goes down lower and lower. Plus, there's the fact that I'm nearing just perfect. I think most of my characters are exactly the build that I want. So, like,
Sure.
I don't plan to do anything else with them except get them better equipment as we go on. So, hopefully I can beat the game with this setup because this is what I plan on doing at least. But, so yeah, I didn't want to do tons of errands anymore. But I did like 7 or so anyway. And I have a note here that not one of them has given me nearly as much gold as the ones in Chapter 1 gave me. And I don't know why that is. Either it was set or my characters in Chapter 1 were higher level for Chapter 1 for where they should be. And maybe they just got like some kind of, better results. Yeah, for that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But, there was like a couple errands in Chapter 1 that would give you like 10,000 gil.
Yeah, I did one errand in Chapter 1. I'm like, shit. Okay.
Yeah, I'm rich now, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had like a couple errands like that in Chapter 1 that gave me insane amounts of money. But in this one, they were like 2, 3, 4 at the most 1,000 gil each.
Right.
When you need, and now it's Chapter 3, you need more money than you did before.
Yeah,
like,
you definitely do.
what happened? But I'm still getting solid JP. If you need JP, it's still worth it. And then I had to grind a bit. I guess because I maybe I died during that battle. I don't remember. No, I beat that battle first try, I'm pretty sure. But I think I did decide to grind a bit to flesh out my build that I had in mind. And I have, quote, written down here, I have done the unthinkable, ...
Oh, boy.
Okay, get ready for this, Mel. I'm going to tell you about an evil glitch in this game.
Oh.
Have you ever noticed that in like the learning the skills menu, that if you're on a page that has more skills that can show up on the page, you'd have to go move the cursor down to scroll down to the lower abilities, right? Have you ever noticed that I think it says it on the screen that if you hold square button, like it has next square and then page somewhere written on the screen, I think. So if you hold the square button and press down, that's how you go down an entire page. It's not like R2 or anything, right? Like
Okay.
So check this out, dude. You go into a class that has too many abilities to fill up just to lay on a single screen. You go pick one that you can afford. You click it to learn it. When it says, learn this skill.
Oh, no.
This is awesome, dude. Learn this skill, and you have to click yes or no, right? Set it to no, and then hold the square button and push down or something, and it'll think that you're trying to move the back behind the menu where you choose an ability cursor, and it will move it. And it'll probably land on some ability that is too expensive for you to learn. And if you do that, and then release the square button and choose yes, the thing will freak out, and it'll say, you have 0 JP. You'll learn the ability, but then it'll say JP 0000. And then if you back out of the menu and go back into the menu, it'll say JP 9999.
Oh, no.
And I did that for basically any of the jobs. Like, okay, I'm done. I want to hurry up and just make the build already. I don't feel like switching to jobs that I don't plan to be and go fighting random battles. So I finally did that. It's not going to really change too much.
Shouldn't.
Me doing it now is not going to change too much in terms. In fact, it probably makes it harder actually, because as opposed to going out and leveling up and getting gold, now I just have the job points. And the thing is, when you get the job points in this way, it doesn't level up the job up to level 8 either. It just gives you the job points. So if I want to unlock other jobs, but in theory, I could use this to completely destroy stuff by getting, for example, if you do that with the summoner job class, you can just choose the strongest summons right there, right?
Yeah, those are strong.
So yeah, but I just wanted to learn like on a movement ability with somebody, or a reaction ability or something like that with somebody.
So that only works on a page where there's more skills than fit on the page.
More skills
but
that
then
fit
you
on.
get 999. So yeah, then never mind. I was gonna say it's limited, but it's not because you get a shit ton of JP.
But you can't. Well, but the JP is only for that class, right? So yeah, it only works.
Correct.
On the job that has a lot of abilities on that first page, and they all have to be different prices. So I think Ninja and Geomancer both have really long lists, but they're all. I think every ability costs the same amount, so you can't do it. So
you're right.
Yeah, you can't do it for Thief because it's not long enough, but you can do it for Black Mage, Summoner. Yeah, White Mage and Chemist. Several of them. Yeah.
A few.
Yeah. So I did that, yo.
Oh boy! Wow, Did you read about this? I guess you knew about it.
I knew about it from a long time ago.
Okay.
I probably just read about it online a long time ago. I didn't figure it out by accident.
That's funny. That's a crazy glitch.
I know, right? I think it's so cool. Okay. Anything else about Lasalia, dude?
No. I think just looking at my notes here, I think I was able to do it in one shot as well because I think the battle, like what happened with you, is it just started going south. I'm like, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna kill the guy.
Yeah,
and then I did.
Yeah, he was doing some sick damage to me with that freaking pole of his, though.
Yeah, he was healing the other guys. Was my problem. He was just it was going to be a never-ending fight. I felt like.
Okay, so next we go to Orbon Monastery, and before we enter here, let me ask you. This is kind of let me ask you a question because this is kind of a infamous little problem with the game. Are you using save states or saved files?
Save states.
Okay. Did you keep a save state available before entering the monastery?
No.
Okay. Did you find yourself in a position where you couldn't beat the stage and you couldn't reload outside of the monastery?
No.
Because this does it twice in this chapter, right? You enter the monastery, you beat one. For starters, even if you don't even enter it, you just stand on it and think you're going to save outside. As soon as you touch the monastery, you enter it. The scene starts playing, which is pretty evil.
I'm pretty good about it is evil. They also love doing it where you exit a square or a node, and then it puts you in a battle.
Happens.
And it's
right.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty careful with my save states that way because I know it's very easy to get yourself cornered and lose all your progress that way. So I'm very, very careful. Later on, I have a story of where I almost did that to myself.
Okay.
But in this instance, no. Whenever I'm on like a blue tile, I'm like, I'm good. I did all my shopping. I did all my leveling up and ability whatevers. I save it on my primary save slot, like my slot number 1, basically. And then whatever happens after there goes to slot 2. And then if something happens after that, it goes down to slot 3. And then however many, I think I only get 5.
But if you didn't leave one of those outside the Orbon Monastery, the way it goes is this is the thing that's infamous. One of the infamous things about this game. It's just like that freaking bird. What's that bird in
the hollow bird?
The holo bird in Baten Kaitos 2, right?
Yeah.
Holy crap, dude! It's the same thing, dude. You go in there, and if you beat the first battle, it's like save your game, and you're gonna save the game. And if you saved over your main file, then you're stuck on the next battle. And if you cannot beat it with the amount of job points, like you do get access to the formation menu.
Save again, right? Yes.
Yeah, before you start the battle, so you can change stuff. But if you just need more levels or more job points, and you don't have everything you need, you can't get back outside to do it, yo.
Nope, you're stuck. You're fucked.
And that happens 2 times at Orbon Monastery. Well, 3 if you count the fact that you just enter as soon as you touch it. And it happens again twice more at the end of this chapter at Rio Vane's castle. Holy crap.
It's pretty dubious. Whenever like I said, I only ever drop a save on slot 1 when I'm at a place that is like fully secure. So I'm in a town. I've done all my whatever errands.
Yeah.
And then I'm not leaving that square right now, and I put a save in the primary one. So after this fight, it said, do you want to save? I said, sure, in a new slot. Like, not the old one. I don't know what's going to happen next.
So you had a game save, not a state, but a regular save file. Yep, still outside the monastery then, actually.
I have not used an actual like game save.
Oh, you meant save states this whole time.
I'm
Okay, I
doing
see.
only save states the entire
I see.
time.
So when it says, "Do you want to save?" you say in your mind yes, and then save the
But I hit
state.
no. Yeah,
Yeah, you
I
say
hit
no
no
and then
every
save
time.
the state. Okay,
Correct.
I see what you're saying. Right. Okay. So good thing you still had your outside one, I guess, until you finally got out of there after 3 whole battles,
Yeah.
right?
Although it is a little nerve-wracking because if I hit the wrong key on my keyboard, I could easily undo all of my progress.
Right. It's so easy to overwrite a save state, right?
It's like, oops, I hit F5 instead of F6. Whoops!
Yep.
Everything's
I've
gone.
done it twice.
Yeah, I've come close. I've come very close.
Okay. Go ahead and describe the layout of this map.
All right, so this one is you're indoors. I at this point I had a well, probably not initially at this point, but before this point, or I'm sorry, after this point, I had gotten myself a geomancer for the first time,
Okay.
and I had given him some because you have to know what tile you're going to be standing on in order to
Right.
use their skills.
Yeah.
I assumed it was like stone or whatever, and then I got into this map and it's like pavement. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I didn't have that one.
Oh
Or
man.
whatever it was. I didn't have it. I'm like, fuck that.
So you just
But you're
axed
in,
everybody instead?
I guess, yeah, I don't know what I ended up doing. But probably because they're pretty good at that. But
Hmm.
this is a 3-story, like a 3 multi-level indoor area. You're in like a library. And again, you start up at the higher end of the map behind 2 like bookshelves. And then all the enemies are down at the foot of the map. And there's 2 staircases that go up to each level. The bottom level they start on, the medium, the mid level, and then the upper level that you start on. And
Hmm.
those staircases are kind of narrow, like they're definitely choke points unless you have characters who can jump really high. And it gives you really good visibility, so you kind of have the advantage on this map, similar to the way you did in the previous one.
Hmm.
And the only thing here is these enemies are really tanky. So they have a bunch of dragoons and 2
Yeah.
time mages, I think, in the back,
That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and probably 1 or 2 other like mages or somethings. And but it was those dragoons in particular I remember being really hard because I think this is the first time you really fight against dragoons,
It
and
might be,
or
yeah.
I think it is,
It's
and
definitely the first time you fight against 3 of them.
sure. And I hadn't realized until I got screwed over by it that their spears reach an extra space.
Yeah, they do.
I'm like, fuck, because I didn't have a dragoon at this point. So I was like, oh my God, these guys are really hard to deal with. And I had to basically just dump all my strongest magic. I had for Raja at that point. So I was just like dumping heavy spells on them in order to just get their HP down. And
Hmm.
it was tough because then these time witches would come in and disable me or stop me or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, but I got through this one. So my notes here is so this is the start of a 3-parter, like you were saying.
Yeah.
It did take some grinding for me to prepare this. So this is where I got my hands on a geomancer. I had to rejob or class or whatever you want to say
Hmm.
some of my tune to include more monk skills, and I made my archer. I had an archer this entire time
Oh.
into a geomancer, and that seemed to be working out a lot. And still, my mainstays are monks and mages. Those were really the primary damage dealers at that
Hmm.
point.
Yeah, I said before that I was having a hard time making my archer be really useful, and eventually that's the
It's
person.
tough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess their bows just aren't damaging enough, maybe.
They're not. The aim skill does do a good chunk, but it's very slow.
Right. So if
And
they move,
it's right, it's susceptible to line of sight. Not just if they move, but when you start to move, you have to be able to see them in order for it to connect, even if they don't move. And it's super slow. It takes so many turns for the high level aim skills
to
to
execute.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's funny though.
and
You don't actually have to be able to see them directly if you
no,
have
you
a
can lob a
longbow.
shot. Right.
Like in
Correct. And
like in that chapter 1 battle that you had a hard time with the guys inside of the house, the broken up house. You could like stand
right.
outside the house and just shoot over the wall, even though there's no way you could see that there's a guy over there from the archer's point of view. And you could just shoot like arrows over the wall into them.
Yeah. But yeah, they're not very damaging. So I think at this point I had to move him off of being an archer. He was an archer like this whole fucking time. So I said, okay, I've got this geomancer job, and this is when I really started to look at the job wheel and see, all right, what else can I do here? What are my other options at this point? And I guess I must not have had very many geomancer abilities unlocked at that point. But their axe skill is, or the axes in general are really strong. It's a really good source of just like extra damage. And I guess the damage is random for axes.
Yeah, I think it works the same way that they did in FF12, where axes are
Correct.
generally stronger than swords, but they have this random. Yeah, it's gonna deal. It can deal anywhere between some minimum number of damage and its maximum attack power when you actually attack. It's crazy.
Yeah, it can be really, really like, oh my god, I'm like destroying this guy, and just like, fuck, I did nothing.
Yeah.
And I guess maces work the same way. Maces and hammers work the same way for some reason. But yeah, a pretty solid unit. So I had to grind a bit before this one, but once I kind of locked it in, I was able to push through it. It wasn't too tough.
Okay, so here I have, once you touch it, you can't cancel and leave, you must enter. High Confessor Marcel set the Dukes. Also, so this is a part of the story that we got either right after this, I think right after this fight, or maybe at the beginning of the fight. High Confessor Marcel set the Dukes against each other. Duke, that's the white and black lion, Goltana and Larg, to weaken them and bring the church back into power. So that's like a major story thing there. This whole Duke versus Duke trying to get the throne thing was started actually by the what's the guy's name? High Confessor Marcel of the Church of, I think it's Glabados. Yeah, that's crazy. Correct. And then I just wrote three dragoons, 1 chemist, and 2 time mages that can also do summoning. And yeah, I had a pretty hard time with all these battles, but eventually I got that 40% to work, and I mean, I was having a hard time even with 40%, yo. In the case of stealing, it's like 40%. I did a good job with setting the abilities, knowing which abilities will increase in the rate of stealing success. But in the case of enticing someone, that's actually closer to 25% most of the time, right? Because that's a crazy skill to get somebody permanently on your side. But eventually I got one of those dragoons on my side, and then I stole another dragoon's weapon, which was better than the spear that my dragoon was using. So that was awesome. That's one of the main things I'm going for here is like every time I see a new sword or knife or something, I was like, okay, I want to steal that one. And it's making me save lots of money, yo.
I bet. You're turning into fucking what's his name? Gilgamesh over here.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Gilgamesh from Final Fantasy or Gilgamesh from the Legend?
Final Fantasy, where he has all those swords and he's basically out there stealing everyone's weapons.
Yeah. And yeah, that's actually all I have for the first Orbon Monastery battle. In my mind, thinking back to it, it was a pretty epic battle, as nearly every battle in this game is.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I had forgotten the time mages had summoner skills. Every time there's a summoner enemy, it's always a bad time.
Oh yeah, totally. That's always my first target.
Strong.
Yeah, the summons are strong. Yeah, but so do you have the idea in your mind that you would like to make a summoner now, or no?
I believe at this point I did, or shortly thereafter.
At the end of this chapter or something.
Somewhere after, I think this 3-parter, I think I may have done. Okay.
Next stage is the this is the 4th one, is the Monastery Vaults, 3rd level.
So this one is an interesting map. There's a bunch of, I guess, like raised up bridges that interconnect and have little disconnects here and there. And then a flat floor with archways that go under all these bridges.
Oh, that's
So
right.
you
Yeah.
have like a lot of broken line of sight and these little like pockets that you can hide in or get up on top of and shoot down into.
Yeah.
Or I seem to spend most of the battle up on top on those bridges.
Mm.
And again, since this is another fight where you have to kill the boss, I
Right.
started doing the thing where I'm like, well, let me get rid of this guy, let me get rid of that guy, and then just they were overwhelming. So I was like, let me just go for the boss. I had to restart this one a couple times, and I just funneled all my guys forward and just did as many attacks as I could on the boss, and I got him. But it took some luck because the boss sometimes doesn't want to be aggressive. He'll hang back, and it'll just become impossible to get to him.
Before other guys get to you.
Right. So sometimes it's all in the opening move where if you send a guy up, it'll lure the boss in, and he'll basically like overstretch, and then you can send all your guys in before he can move out, or whatever. Like it'll just kind of jank up their AI to where they'll stay there more likely because that's where the enemies that they wants to fight are, instead of you going out to meet him, dealing damage to him, then he's damaged and he's like, I gotta back up, and then he'll back up and get healed or some shit. And then
Mm.
it'll become impossible because they're smart enough to know they shouldn't just like run forward. They'll
Yeah.
try to, especially if they're flagged as like a boss. I'm pretty sure their AI tries to like
Be
hide.
careful. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but if they're not damaged, they don't do that. So you have to kind of lure them in reach of all your other guys and then move forward, and then you can probably kill them in one round.
I see. What do you think about the game only requiring you to kill the boss and not everyone?
It's an it does it does feel easier.
Right. Yeah.
My comparison has always been, as I was mentioning in the previous episodes, is to Fire Emblem, where whenever they have that win condition, they orient the map in such a way that the boss is not within reach. The
Mm.
boss also rarely ever moves, is standing on a tile like
Mm.
that is surrounded by walls in all directions except in front of him. And then you're forced to have like a showdown, more or less, and
Hmm.
get through all his fucking dudes. And in this game so far, the boss encounters in this scenario, in a map like this, are usually just like a guy is the most important guy. So you
Yeah.
have to kill that one and then everyone else leaves. And it's like, if they didn't all leave, I don't think I would have won this.
Hmm. Yeah. Another guy from another podcast like complained once that the later game, all the later battles where you only have to kill the boss and not everyone, make the a lot of them very very anticlimactic. And like the
Mm,
third to last battle or something, which is like one of the hardest ones in the whole game. Like he complained and he showed like his footage as evidence, like how this is not a good way to do it. And he had a
sure.
dragoon and he jumped on the guy, and I guess his
Yep.
dragoon was so strong that it one shot him, and that was the end of the battle.
Yep.
Like right at the beginning of the game, and there was a massive gorge between them. So like, like it shouldn't have gone that fast, but just one dragoon, boom, you're dead. That was over.
This game's mechanics are so customizable that I think they struggled to balance it in any way at
Yeah,
all. Like you
right.
have so many options at your disposal. So many of your attacks are so wide reaching that I think they just had a hard time penning you in a way that maintains the intended challenge. Like I guess you could approximate something closer to what the intended difficulty is if you, I don't know, you kept Ramza as like either a knight or a squire, and
Maybe yeah.
you had more or less just like knights and archers, and maybe what's it called, a machinist, and some of those classes, and you never went with a summoner or a dragoon or
Hmm.
any of these like across the map, fucking downtown one shot,
Yeah.
fucking throw the moon at them from a, you know.
I think now's a good time to tell you about the most broken class in the game. You haven't unlocked it yet, but would you like to know what it is?
Sure.
It's really cool, dude. In the original one, anyway, I don't know if they changed the name for this translation, but in the original one, it's called the Calculator. It's probably going to be called something like the Mathematician in this game.
I think it's the. I think you're right. I think it's called Mathematician.
Okay, have you seen it in your menus?
There are enough hint. So the game will hint at mechanics like this, and there are certain things that hint at like arithmetics.
Oh, when you push select on something, right?
Yeah. So
I
I
see.
knew there was a class that had something to do with that, but
Yes.
I couldn't tell you what it does.
Well, I'll tell you what it does, dude.
Okay.
It's so insane. Now, admittedly, to build it up, you have to go and master a bunch of other magic classes, or at least get the spells you want from a bunch of other magic classes first. But what it does is you have to just choose their ability is called the math skill or the arithmetic skill, and you go in there and you choose a parameter. This is so cool, dude. I freaking love explaining this. You choose a parameter. The parameters I think you can choose are either height, CT, level, and experience. I think it's just those four. And then after you choose one of those, you choose a number. And I think the possible numbers are, you can't get 2, but you can get 3, 4, 5, and prime number, I think.
Okay.
And you click on that, and what that does is it chooses the targets. So for example, if you choose height 3, every person, enemy or ally alike, who's standing on a height of 3, 6, or 9, or 15, a multiple of 3, will be targeted. Hear what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you choose the spell you want to do, and the spells don't come from the mathematician job class. It comes from any other class you've learned it from. So, for example, freaking Holy from the white mage, or Thundaga from the black mage. You
But
click
the
that.
mathematician needs to know that skill.
So it has
right?
to already know that skill. Yeah. So you have to learn.
Okay.
You do have to learn a bunch of other skills first, which takes time.
Okay.
And then you choose it, and no MP requirement.
Oh, wow.
No, what you call it? No, like crosshair target where it targets like 5 panels at once.
Sure, right.
It just targets all those individual people. No MP cost, no wait time. Instantly dishes out the spell.
No wait time?
No wait time.
Oh, that's so busted.
Yeah. So like the only thing really keeping it back, like working against its OP nature is the fact that you have to go through a lot of other classes first to get the spells you want, and the fact that you will end up also targeting allies often, possibly.
I mean, if you know what you're doing, you won't.
Right, exactly. It's insane.
That's so banana. But other than that, it's the same spell. Is the spell stronger?
No, the spells aren't stronger, but no MP cost and no wait time, dude.
That's still really nuts. Yeah.
From any position on the map, too, right? You don't have to be near anyone.
Right, exactly. That's who the hell thought that was anyway balanced?
I'm sure they knew it wasn't balanced, but I mean, I don't know. I guess they wanted some crazy OP stuff for the end of the game just for fun.
Yes. I mean, it seems to be cropping up so much in this game that it feels like they were just totally okay with people just tearing the game apart and being like, well, if you want to be crazy, you want to have a harder experience. Want to have a harder experience, don't do these things, I guess.
Yeah. And I think I actually prefer that way of that. It's hard to say I prefer it, but I do like, in general,
I
like
respect
this type
the hell
of
out
gameplay.
of it.
Yeah. I think I will also be looking, I will also probably really, really enjoy the Fire Emblem style where there's like no chance to just grind freely, right? So.
Right. In the older, somewhat older ones, right. It's almost, the more I play the game, the more it feels like the exact opposite design philosophy.
I'd say the exact opposite design philosophy is probably Disgaea.
Is it? I don't know very much about that.
I mean, the entire point of the game is to do ridiculous OP things all the time. Like there's a stage where you'll come up to this battle.
I see what you're saying.
And it's crazy, dude. There's like one square that's like highlighted, like with a different color. And if you go put the cursor on it, just imagine it's like FF Tactics, okay? And you go click on the cursor on it, put the cursor on it, it'll say on the screen, invincibility for the character standing here. And another thing you can do in the game, dude, listen to this, dude. This is amazing. Another thing you can do in that game, you can pick up the enemy, and it doesn't matter how strongly. You can just pick them up, and you can throw them, okay? And if you throw them into another enemy, they combine and they become the sum of the levels. So like a level 4 enemy plus a level 4 enemy, boom, now he's level 8. And you can combine all the guys into one guy and then go stand on that freaking invincibility square and just whittle away at the boss, and then boom, you went up 500 levels or something. It's
That's
like
so
that,
fucking
dude.
nuts. Oh my god. I mean, I knew that game had like crazy big numbers and it was kind of silly, but
Yeah.
I never looked at any of the mechanics.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I think that's like the intention is you're supposed to just
Oh,
break
yeah.
it, yo. Work
I'm
on it
pretty
and
sure.
break it, yo.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway. So where are we? We're on. Oh, that's right.
So
We're in the
on
monastery
part
vault's
2
third
of this,
level.
yeah, we're on part 2 of this 3-part
Yeah,
fight here.
fighting Isilud.
Yeah, right. So he's one of the other members of the church. And something else, this Isolute guy, I don't know if his actual class is Dragoon, but he has the jump ability.
Yeah, he does.
And the dude has like all the jump ability. He jumped across the
Yeah.
map and was one-shotting my team at some point.
I think the max jump range is 8, so 8 squares away is pretty far, right?
It's really far. And in some of my earlier attempts at this map, he was really just doing that. He was just staying where he was and just jumping on my weaker units' heads, because of course he's going to target those. And they were just dying right away. I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? So, like I was saying, the winning strategy was to kind of bait him into a closer range attack with another enemy who was more durable, and then target him with a bunch of magic and shit and just kill him.
I see. I did have a hard time with this battle, but I mean, no specific aspect of it stood out to me as being the massive problem. But I have here that I charmed the summoner. So the summoner is really far away.
Yeah, I tried going for the summoner first because I gotta get rid of this fucker, and then just that seemed to be the wrong idea, at least in my strategy, because then I was overstretching and I was getting killed from both sides.
So I have the teleport ability on my freaking
Oh boy.
on my freaking thief, and the thief can also steal not only equipment but hearts as well. So I charmed the summoner, and that took care of that. I had to like save state scum to make the teleport work, because if you for every square further than your actual move stat, it's like a 10% penalty to the success rate of the teleport. So, but I just teleported all the way over there, stole his heart, and okay, good. Don't have to worry about him for at least a little while.
Right.
And I enticed a knight through the wall. That was pretty cool.
That's
They never saw each other's eyes at all. Only I saw them, but they never saw each other.
You said something real great.
Yeah. Tone. Just like knock on the wall. Hey, dude, I hear you over there. Why don't you join my side? I'll give you $1.
Enticed him through a wall. That's great.
It was awesome. Yeah. And Isilud is with, then I wrote down story stuff. So Isilud is with the Church of Galapagos. In fact, I don't think I wrote it here, but I wrote it later. I believe Isilud is Weegraf's son, is he not? We find that out later.
I think that's correct.
I'll just say that it is for now. Yeah. And where am I? So yeah, Isilud is with the Church of Galapagos. I wrote it down as Galapagos, so that should be right. And he wants all men to be equals. And he thinks that the way to do that is not with dukes, but with the church. So that's why they are setting the dukes against each other. Or that's what he thinks is the best reason to do this. All this is that all men will become equals, under God. So
right, yeah.
So
there
the church
seems to
should
be
be
a
the leader.
growing theme of, the existing power, which is this royalty or the what do they call it, like the aristocracy or whatever. those guys are just like hopelessly corrupt and rotten to the core, and it's the church, which is just another overarching institution, is going to come in and
Be
be better
good.
than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I guess when you claim that, all your actions are, based on teachings of God, then you believe that, I suppose, right?
Sure, I suppose.
And Evilise list. What do I have written here? He wants all men to be equals. Quote, Evilise list Ramza and threatens to founder. I wrote that down because it was hard to understand, but I think I wrote it. I think I looked it up. But basically, it means Evilise is in the process of dying, and it's gonna die.
Yeah, I think he was saying that Ulysses is listing, which is to say it's keeling over to one side like a
Yeah.
ship. It's a metaphor, sort of, that he was running for.
And threatens
And
to
yeah,
founder. I
which
expected
is
the word
another ship
flounder to
term.
pop up, but it was founder.
Yeah. Founder's another shipping term where a ship runs aground.
Okay, I see. Join us as Delita has, is what he said. So Isolde is with Delita is with these church dudes, I guess, as far as
Mm-hmm.
we know. And Ramza
Seems
tried
to
to
be.
tell him that Cardinal Delacroix got turned into a Lusavi, and he didn't believe him either.
He's just the least convincing boy on the planet.
I guess so. He keeps telling the truth to people, and nobody believes him.
Yeah,
And that's
you're
all
like
I
the
got.
nicest guy.
Right, and
No one
that's all I
believes
got
you.
for the Monastery Vault's third level.
Right.
Next would be the Monastery Vault's first level.
Right.
Go ahead.
So this one I have very few notes for because the another boss fight. It's the same guy, right?
It's Weegroff this time, is it not? Wait,
Oh, is it Weegroff?
let me
I thought it was Isolde again.
hold on. Well, I'll read it and then we'll find out. Weegroff is here too. Only must kill Weegroff. No, it was Regroff.
Okay, all right. So it was another boss fight, and in this instance, you're down on the bottom of the map, and he is in a raised position. There's a big wall, a small doorway, a set of stairs in front of both of you, and he's kind of coming at you through the door, and I guess coming down to your position. But he fucking runs, at least when I played the game, he
Mm-hmm.
ran right the hell at me. And then all I did was send my strongest dudes up the staircase and I killed him right away.
Okay, no problem there.
Yeah.
Ramza says that he was more honorable before he became a church thrall. Weegroff replies that you just can't understand the hard life because you haven't had it yourself. Then Weegroff transforms into Belias. And Simon passes us the scriptures of Germanique, which is freaking awesome.
Uh-huh.
And okay, and then that's what happens there. And then later, so I didn't write anything about the battle itself, I don't think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very simple battle. The
Yeah.
story here is more the centerpiece.
I think I did the same thing. I think I just kicked Weegroff's ass and didn't worry too much about the surrounding guys. Okay, and then an outland. So then we're just moving on to like the next cutscene already. So we're done with that area then. And you're outside, and an Outland mage says Alma is in Riovane's castle. And then it shows a cutscene. So I guess you have to go to Riovane's castle if you want to save Alma, is what he tells Ramza. And then the next cutscene was at Zeltenia Castle Chapel ruins, and we see Ovelia. And Ovelia was kept in a monastery, but still there was no peace. Delita vows to burn down this kingdom and build a new one for Ovelia. Interesting. That's right. That was her. She was like, opining, I guess you could say, I was kept in a monastery for peace, but there was no peace anyway, even though I remained in the monastery. What was the point of it all? And then, Delita's like, I'm going to burn down this kingdom and build a new one worthy of you. Which I'm still confused. She's not the real Princess Ovelia, right? She was just raised as Princess
Right.
Ovelia.
She's
So
like
that's
a
interesting.
holdover from an older
Previous
scheme.
plot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you have
So,
anything about that little story bit or?
just a couple gameplay things in the interim between the next map is I started to reassign jobs again. I made one of my guys a thief, and another guy a time mage so that I can start unlocking other jobs. And I'm deliberately not looking up because the job wheel opens up the more you get access. Like it's not showing you all the possible jobs.
Hmm.
So I'm not looking
Oh,
online to see what
I,
ways you
oh.
can what.
So yeah, a long time ago, you're like, how come I can see these jobs, but they're grayed out? I think the way it is you can see all the jobs that all of your characters have unlocked. So maybe Ramza has a job that is unlocked,
Um,
and when you change in another
it's
character, it's blacked out.
the way I think it works is you can see all the jobs that you could theoretically unlock. Meaning, if you got this job,
To
you
level
could
4.
unlock
Hmm.
that job. So it's showing
So
you
it's showing
like
the
one
next
step
tier.
ahead,
I
pretty
see.
much.
Yeah. Okay.
So given the jobs that you currently have, what jobs can you unlock if you leveled them up enough?
Okay.
Here, X, Y, and Z. So it's not showing. I still have a lot that I've heard of that I haven't, that are not
Visible.
selectable,
Hmm.
visible on the wheel. But I know you have to level up because it tells you have to get this class to the or this job to this level.
Oh, I
So,
guess you could push select button there too. I didn't think about
mhm.
that. I didn't think
Yeah, you
about
can
doing that
press
there.
select and it'll say you have to have this and this. And it's
Dude,
like, oh,
that's
okay.
awesome. I didn't know
Right.
that. That's
Oh,
so
okay.
useful.
Yeah, the game, when I first started playing this game, I was like, this game doesn't tell you shit. And then
Right.
I just didn't realize you had to press certain buttons, which it never told you to do, in
Right.
fairness. And it tells you everything you need to know.
For all we know,
So,
though, it might
yeah.
tell us somewhere deep in that long ass tutorial section that I didn't play this
Oh,
time
it's
either.
so bad. That tutorial is so slow.
Right.
I
Long
I
winded as hell,
played
right?
the yeah, I played the first part of it and I was like, well, all right, I think I'll just figure this out.
Yeah.
I
So for
didn't
all
want
we
to sit
know, it
through that.
says anytime you don't know about a thing, you can push select on it. And maybe it says it in there. Probably does.
It
But
may do. There's a lot of tutorial that I did not look at, which is, partly my fault, I
yeah, it's on
suppose.
us, right? But it'd be nice if they designed their tutorials better, right?
Yeah, but now that I have an understanding of how the game shows you information, I'm not feeling like I'm in the dark so much anymore. Like there are very few mechanics that I'm like, why the fuck did this happen? Where and initially that was like all left and right that was happening to me. I'm like, why the fuck
I'm
did this
totally, I'm,
happen?
I'm totally imagining like somebody like hitting you for some amount of damage that you couldn't imagine. And you're like, why
Or
the
like I
fuck
was
did that happen? I don't know. It just
Or
looks so
like
funny
just
to
like
me.
throwing my hands up and being like, how the fuck am I supposed to know that this guy was doing this thing? Like I didn't even know how to check where
Oh right,
mage was doing their skill. I would just see them like raise their hands. I'm like, am I supposed to guess?
right, yeah.
And then, of course, you can find out that information. You can see exactly what they're doing and who to and when it'll happen, and all of it's there. It's just knowing where to get that info is kind of hard. But yeah, so I got some extra jobs that like you were saying, I'm not really planning to stick with, but they're going to be like stepping stones into other jobs that I think I might want. So I'm starting to grow out the job wheel a bit more. Um, Let me see what else do I have here. So yeah, I'm deliberately not looking up what conditions are required to unlock further jobs. I just know that I'm not seeing them, and I think all the jobs are referenced in the equip menu, like who can equip what,
Oh
shows
yeah.
you
There's like two
all the
letters
jobs.
for each. It's like an abbreviation for every job, right?
No, I think it just shows you all the jobs. When
Oh,
you
did it
go
just
to
okay? Full name.
hit select on an item like a sword
Right.
or a piece of armor, and you hit select and you go to the second page of that pop-up menu, it highlights the names of the classes or the jobs that can equip it. And
Oh,
it's like
okay.
a big page of job names, most of which I don't have.
So if you do that on
Or
like
a
just
few.
a random accessory, then you could probably just see the
Hmm.
entire job list.
Yeah, I think it always shows you the job list. It just highlights the ones that can equip it.
Oh, I see. Hmm.
That's how it works. So I don't think it's really a secret as to how many jobs are in there, but I just don't know how to get to them, but I'm sure I'll find out.
Like I said in like the very first episode, to unlock any job, you only the highest level you only have to get to in any other job before it is level 3 or 4. So if you're just not sure what I need, okay, have to go up to level 4
Right.
instead of level 3 or something, and that's about it.
Right.
There's only one job that is a special one that requires you to have like level 8 squire and level 8 chemist.
Oh.
But it's, in my opinion, well, I've never tried it, so I can't really say, but it does not sound appealing to me. It's the mimic job.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know. I don't want to have any mimics, so I never had interest in that one.
Got it. My next note here before we get to the next battle is I did actually read through the scriptures of
I was going to ask you about that, dude. Okay. It was awesome, I thought. Because, like,
I thought it was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, was it that freaking Outland mage who later we're going to find out his name is freaking Malak, but was it him that asked you, did you read the scriptures? I think...
I said no. And
me too.
Like, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh, should I have read the... I actually went back a save and...
I didn't go back a save. I just read them after that.
Yeah, I read them and then I said yes, and it doesn't really change
right.
the dialogue very much.
That's a kind of a great thing, though, because, yeah, I didn't expect that the Germanic scriptures was, like, in the menu where I could select it and do stuff, but that's awesome, actually. And so I went in there and I read that, and my mind was getting blown.
Yeah, so it was really cool. Like, they're really giving you a lot more of the backstory now, how a lot of this, the Braves or the Zodiac Braves, it's all kind of bullshit. And
yeah, I just wrote down, like, a very short summary of the important part. I wrote here, Ivalice used to be 7 separate kingdoms, and I just wrote this part because I want to remember the names. Fovoham, Lionel, Limberry, Lysalia, Galleon, Zeltenia, and Muland. Ajora, who is the saint of this church of Church of Glabados, Saint Ajora, right? Ajora was a mere mortal! ! Not a god or an angel or whatever. Right. The church said that he led the Zodiac Braves against a demon, but that was a lie. And Simon played the role of an elder, just so he could have his library. I wrote that down. I think we learned that. I mean, that's right. That's right. Because what you're reading, you're not actually reading the scriptures themselves because they're like in another language that only few people know.
Right. You're reading his notes.
Right. You're reading Simon's notes on it. And so he wrote from his point of view, I realized the church was like corrupt and lying to the people all this time, but I just pretended to be an elder because I couldn't to lose my library. And so he just like loved, I guess, researching all this stuff in his huge library. So that's cool. That made me, like, I never cared about Simon until I read the Germanic scriptures.
Yeah, it's a really good piece of lore building. I think Ramza was like, it's written in this really old-fashioned form of the language, and so I had to rely heavily on Simon's like notes, which were written in the margins, to understand what it was talking about or whatever.
That's right. Yeah, freaking awesome. I'm glad you read that and found that. Cool. Okay, is that all for that area? Are we on to the next battle now?
I think we're on to the 6th battle now.
That's right. That would be Grog Heights, which in the original was called Grog Hill. Now it's Grog Heights.
So this one I actually had forgotten to write down in my notes. I must have beaten it and then moved on and then written notes for the 7th fight.
That's fine. So I remember what it looked like.
This one I didn't. Yeah, I have I took a screenshot anyhow, but you're at the base of a hill. It's like a multi-tier hill.
Yeah.
And you're fighting some deserters of, I forget what
the
faction.
Southern Sky. The Southern Sky, it would be, isn't that freaking Oren? Isn't he in the Southern Sky? Yeah. And isn't Orlando his
Orlando is his father.
Adopted father, yeah. And he's the Lord Commander of the Knights of the Southern Sky. That's right.
Southern Sky, I think so.
Yeah.
I wrote that down. One of the two, what's it called? Generals or whatever they're called.
The Southern Sky would be working for Goltana side.
Correct.
Yeah, Larg side is the Northern Sky with The Lord Commander being our brother Zolbag.
Right.
That's right.
So these are guys who were in the middle of like deserting, and they're like, well, wait, if we get this heretic, if we kill him and bring him back, they're gonna, forgive us for deserting.
Oh, that's
And
right.
they're
Yeah.
like, fuck it, let's get him. And you're just like, wait a minute, and then the
And
fight
then you're in the battle.
begins.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only note I have about it was that these guys are Southern Sky deserters, and that at the end, Oren talks to Ramza, and Oren says to Ramza, "There are people who would die for you and your cause, Ramza, and I'm one of them." I thought that was, I don't know, kind of from out of nowhere. I thought like Oren knows a lot about what Ramza guys are doing.
He is an interesting player in this story so far. I don't really know what to make of him.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
But
so yeah,
as for this fight, I didn't have very much to go on. It was pretty straightforward from what I recall of it.
yeah. I mean, you're fighting thieves. I mean, we fought thieves in like the second battle of the game too,
Yeah.
so we're kind of used
Yeah,
to
I
them,
know.
I'd say. Okay, next was Yardao Fort City. I don't have. This is the one I forgot to write
Well,
notes
this
about.
this was tough for me. I had to really go to the drawing board a couple times on this one. So this is a fight where um, we'll get to the story part of what's happening in a minute, but this is a fight where you start on the outside of like a perimeter wall with a very narrow gate.
Yeah,
And
one
unless you
tile
have,
wall.
and a little staircase too inside of it. And unless you have characters that have like really high jump, you're not getting over that wall.
Dude, I don't know that it's possible to have just a normal stat of jump that high. I think you'd have to have the ignore height ability, which
No, I think I did it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
because that was one of the things I ended up doing.
That's awesome. You just jump over
Because
the wall.
I had to get the hell over that wall. So on the other side of that wall, you're on the outside of that wall in one corner. And one of the guest characters for this fight starts in front of that gate. On the other side is not the boss of the map, but like the key fighter of the map. And then like two summoners and two ninjas or whatever they are.
Yes, ninjas are in
And
this one, I believe. Yeah.
at least one or two knights. And it's a real shit show of a fight. They will just rain bullshit on you from inside of that wall. Those ninjas will just throw every sword they ever looked at
Yep.
you from up there.
Oh man,
And the
that's hilarious.
summoners are just gonna fucking zap the hell out of everything on the outside. And there's like barely enough room to get out of the way of the big ass summoner skills that they throw.
Yeah.
It's so tough. And even with the really good monk abilities where you can shoot in like a straight line across the whole fucking map.
Freaking Earth Slash or whatever it's called in this version.
Really
of the game.
good.
Yeah. That's my
Yeah.
favorite. One of my favorite abilities.
Wave slash. Is that what it's called? Earth slash?
The one in the original is called Earth Slash, even though you don't slash. It's the one where you punch the ground and a freaking Earth shockwave goes through the ground
And
up
like a
to
plus
6.
direction potentially. You have to aim it.
Okay, I think maybe you're not thinking of the same one. The one I'm thinking of is you punch the ground and a shockwave just shoots out up to 6 tiles ahead of you, and anyone standing in all those 6 tiles gets hit.
Right, but they can't be above a certain elevation. Like
Yes.
within
Yeah, probably you're right. Yeah.
Right. So that's the same move.
That's the one. Okay, yeah.
So you can, in the beginning of the match, a lot of the enemies tend to line up in that gateway. So I smacked a whole bunch of them for like 50. But you would think, wow, that's great. But then they all get healed by the fucking summoners who are also healers because their summoning skill with the Moogle heals really well.
Yep. Entire groups it heals.
Massive groups and only their team.
Yep.
So
if you're standing there, you don't get the benefit.
you don't get a damn thing. And the enemy Moloch or whatever his name is has really crazy. What class is he?
Well, he's an original class. What was it called in this game? Nether Seer?
Yeah, Seer, Sky Seer.
Sky. Okay, yeah. In the original one, he was called a Hell Knight, and Rafa is going to be called a Heaven Knight. But yeah,
Okay.
say
So they
his
have
class
really
again.
crazy abilities. I think it's called the Sky Seer, but maybe that's what her class is
That's
called.
her one. His is the probably Nether Seer or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Right. So he has this ability that hits like random tiles within a
Yeah,
range that he
that's
picks,
exactly yes.
and it
Oh,
could hit the same tile multiple times.
yeah, it's a random number of hits in random spaces in the attack range. It's pretty crazy.
Right. It's a pretty crazy move. He's a really strong. You want to probably get rid of him sooner rather than later, but really it was these ninjas and summoners safe behind this wall that were just like a total shit show
Decimating you,
for
huh?
me. Yeah,
Raining
so
down the
until I
bullshit,
could
as you
get
say.
pretty much, so until I was able to, I think I put some kind of accessory on Ramza to get him over that wall and to get in there and kill those damn summoners. And I think I just kind of struggled my way through it and probably was one of those scenarios where I had like a guy who was like about to die, who was knocked out on the ground, and then I got the last guy type of thing.
Hmm.
It was a real rough fight. So I wrote here I had to grind out this one. I built up my first dragoon, so that helped a lot for
Cool.
this fight. Um, and now I know you mentioned this in one of the last episodes. I just noticed the turn order indicator next to the characters' names.
Yeah.
I know you
Finally.
mentioned it, but I didn't realize exactly where it was. So that's another piece of useful information for sure.
Yeah. That will definitely cut down on the amount you have to go into looking at
The
AT menus or
menu.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Cool. I
Um,
didn't really do. I mean, I don't have any notes about it except for a story note, and
hmm.
but I did have every battle. Most of the battles in this chapter, I died like 3 times, so it's not like it was a walk in the park or anything. And yeah, I do remember though the first time I was like, okay, I'll just block the doorway with my ninja. Who
Oh,
anybody who goes directly up to her will get parried into oblivion with my 2 daggers that have 40% parry rate. But yeah, that didn't matter. That didn't help at all.
yeah, no. And this is the first time I encountered ninjas that have dual wielding. So I was like, oh, okay, let me just kind of face tank a couple of these ninjas. And then I noticed them taking 2 hits. I was like, I can't absorb 2 hits. This is bullshit.
Yup.
Oh, it was so rough. And between that and throwing their items at you is so hard to play like a defensive position. And then I don't know if this happened for you or maybe it's just supposed to happen. If you kill Moloch or make him retreat when you deal enough damage,
Yeah.
uh, Rafa just kind of runs away.
Yeah, I believe she doesn't. I think that's what happened to me
She
too.
just like stops participating in the fight. I'm like, I could really use the
Oh,
help over here.
oh, she didn't teleport away. She just stopped helping, huh?
No, she like ran to a corner of the battlefield and kept skipping her turn.
Well, she probably. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that was just a weird AI glitch or something.
Maybe. I think it may have been because occasionally she would walk up and like potion one of my guys, but I'm like, could you do this more? Like, please? It was really frustrating.
Well, if she gets too involved, you might get in trouble because the battle condition was protect Rafa, was it not?
Right.
Yeah.
So she was doing, I guess, an okay job of staying out of the fray, but she had some decent skills. I'm like, I'll make sure you don't die if you could also make sure I don't fucking die.
Yeah.
It was a little silly because toward the end where it was her and like a couple of my guys, I'm like, I need every ounce of firepower I could use here, and she was just standing in a corner skipping her turn.
Yeah, she has the same, that same whatever that ability is
Yeah,
called as her
and
brother,
the
where
first couple
it's
turns she
random
was using
places.
it,
Yeah.
and it was effective. And I'm like, could you do more?
Really. Rafa, who's going to join your party after this, I'll just go ahead and say it to the audience.
Hmm.
Um, she's kind of famous for having the lowest brave stat among characters that you can get. And so I'll tell you another really weird mechanic that neither of us are bothering to use in this playthrough right now. There's an ability called Move Find, but I don't think it's called that in this version. But I think it's a chemist ability. And
I think I know what you're talking about.
it's a movement ability, and it's the ability where if you happen to be standing on a tile where an item is hidden in the grass, you'll find it. But if you don't have that ability equipped, you don't find it. So you and I have just been going through, maps, never finding random items on the ground, right?
Right.
But maybe you saw once, because I saw it once, a knight from the enemy team step on a tile, and right before they took their turn, right after they stopped moving, like boom, they just picked up an item and then pocketed it. Like, whoa, what was that? So that's the move find ability, and it's really freaking weird the way it works. There are 2 possible items. I think the way it works, there are 4 items in every map, and every square that has the item has one of 2 items that you can get, the common and the rare. And listen to this is so weird. Your chance of getting the chance of getting the common item, I believe, is equal to your brave with just a % sign stuck on it. So the lower your brave, the higher your chance of getting the rare item, which is the only item worth getting, because the common items are like freaking Phoenix Downs and potions and stupid stuff.
Oh boy.
So that's weird, huh? So a lot of I've heard guides and stuff say Rafa's a good person to use for the move find ability. Interesting, huh? Okay.
Do you know if there are like really good items that you can find?
I think I looked through a list of like the story battles, and I think I didn't see anything too crazy. But it's end game when you're in going to battles that aren't permanently missable. Actually, luckily, that you can get the most crazy stuff. So like when you're at the end of the game, and you can access any of the maps that you can access again in battle. Of course, you can go there. But there's also like a secret dungeon at the end, which is like insanely hard. And if you want to go through there, there's a whole bunch of crazy things in there that you can get, and you'd have to just look them up. And then you'd also want to lower Rafa's brave as much as possible, and you can get some insane weapons in there. But I don't really remember what any of them are specifically.
Sure.
But I was looking at a list of, what's on the story battles? Because a lot of those are missable. You go in there and you don't ever go back to them. And it just looks like it's like a sword that's like one or 2 battles stronger than the one. Like you're going to get that same sword available for purchase at the shops in 2 battles from now. So not that big of a deal, right?
Saves you some money, I guess.
Right. Yeah, if you're into that sort of thing. But I'm busy, stealing people's stuff and enticing people with entire sets of equipment that I'm getting for free. So I don't even need to save any more money. So I have a couple story I just wrote down. Grand Duke Barrington also wants the throne, or at least to be the regent. And Grand Duke Barrington is the guy who found Malak and Rafa and took them in, I guess, because they became orphans.
Right.
And Malak and Rafa are Galthinas, whatever kind of person that is. And Rafa threatens us with an exploding frog. He freaking possesses a frog. And the frog talks to us, come to Rio Vane's castle or whatever, something like that. And then the frog explodes. Poor froggy.
That fucking scene, I was just like raised my eyebrows that entire scene. I'm like, what?
He used a frog to talk?
Inhabited a frog, or was it an illusion? Or why is he able to do this?
Yeah. Good point. Why is he able to do that? I don't know.
Did he just appear as himself, or did he have to do a frog?
Okay, so next battle is the Yug Wood, or in the original, it's called the Yuguo Wood. And I just wrote that I didn't write any other comment other than it's the ghosts from people who died in the 50-year war.
Right. Yeah, this is a side battle. There's no story close association with this. It was also, as far as battles go, pretty straightforward. There's a pretty flat area that you're in with a couple bumps here, hills here and there, and a big tree in the middle. And then you're fighting a bunch of ghosts, which means a lot of them can teleport. A couple of them are ghost mages, so they're just mages that float.
That float are a little bit see-through, yeah.
A little bit see-through, and that's it. I didn't have too much trouble with that fight.
I think if you want to, you could exploit the mechanic that's in most Final Fantasy games, which is using life magic and stuff on ghosts. I didn't do that, but I think you can do that in this game as well.
Mm-hmm.
Next battle, the 9th battle, was at the gates the outside gates of Riovane's castle.
Yeah.
Where you fight freaking Malak. And there's like one of the outstanding things for me, I don't know why, just it surprised me for some reason. There's like, there's the gate, and then there's the castle, and then like there's the pond or the moat or whatever. And freaking, there's like a little outcropping pillar of rock, and then a space, and then another outcropping pillar of rock.
I know what you're gonna say.
So like there's like a little space that if you put somebody in there, it'd be hard for you to see them. And I remember freaking the hell out when a freaking knight
popped out.
Yeah, and he was floating. He was wearing floating boots so that he could stay above the water. I was like, whoa, that was so cool to me.
I had the opposite reaction at the time. I was like, fuck you.
You didn't like
hiding
that,
a guy in there. Because you can't angle the camera to look in there.
Yeah.
So unless you were knowing to like look there as the camera's panning around, you wouldn't see him.
Yeah, and I didn't see him. I was surprised.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of funny in hindsight as well. But yes, this is a fight where you start out you start out in two locations, one of those fights.
Yeah.
And you have a
one is near
tomb.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you have a tomb that's up on the bridge near the gate to the castle, I guess, and then you have another tomb that's smaller down to the left of the bridge on land. Both of them are across from the castle itself, which has higher ground.
And archers.
And archers, where all the enemies are. And boy, oh boy, are there archers. Do they exist?
There's like 3 of them, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Quite a few, and then Malak is there doing those crazy abilities that he has. There's a bunch of knights that are, like we said, floating in the water and up on the bridge. A pretty rough fight, and I don't know how it went for you, but Rafa died in one of the runs that I was doing, and if she does die, Malak goes away.
Well, that's a cool. I didn't know that.
He's like, oh man, I forget what he says, but it's something to the effect of, why do we have to do this? And then he teleports away. So that made the fight quite a bit easier.
Yeah.
I suspected maybe I lost like an extra reward or something.
I don't know if you did. I haven't heard about anything.
I'm not sure if I did either, but they both teleported away basically. So I'm like, oh, well, he was one of the bigger problems I was having on this map. So then from there, I was able to kind of condense myself down on that land portion and then pick off some of the guys remotely with my own ranged attacks. And then eventually I just kind of bum rushed one of my guys, probably Ramza, with higher movement up the castle wall and to pick off the archers. So let me just see what I wrote here. So yeah, I had my Dragoon. I had him put in a lot of work with the jump skill because when you're fighting these archers, they have to stand still too, so they often aren't moving. And by this point, I also had a summoner, so that guy was putting in a ton of work to kind of clear out large areas. And at this point, I was trying to get Ramza trained up to become a samurai. So now at this point he was a thief, but he was like doing no damage. So I was having a harder time than I probably should have because I was in the middle of like leveling him up.
Yeah, leveling up. So that's the thing I was talking about all the last time, right? Leveling up as a thief that you don't plan to be, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I had a hard time as I expected, but I got through it. I think in the end I moved my black mage like just right up to the castle gate, and then even though the archers are way up higher than the castle gate, turns out black magic doesn't have any restrictions on height differences. So like, so I just like from way down there, I just hit a couple archers, 2 archers at once with like lightning, and that helped whittle them down a bit. And all the archers were women, so I couldn't charm any of them. Because you can only charm members of the opposite sex, and my ninja is a woman. So, Maybe I charmed a male knight or something in this one, but yeah, I don't have any other. And I don't have any other notes about this battle.
Notes on the fight. Yeah, I remember it being pretty hard. I had to redo this one a couple times, like a few times.
Yeah, I think it took me 3 tries as well, as all of these did. Okay, and next,
All right.
the next 2 battles combined. No. The next battle, I want to say. The next battle is got to be the hardest battle, quite possibly in the whole game. This is unbelievably... For starters, I'm already misleading you guys. It's not 1 battle. It's 2 battles.
Yeah.
Like in 1 battle, sort of. So you're going to go inside the castle keep, and you're going to have a 1-on-1 battle of Ramza versus Weegroff as a human now. And I just wrote, pretty freaking hard. May require special tactics. I saved before it. That's all I wrote.
Yeah.
And I was doing all kinds of crazy stuff to try to figure out what to do here. So Ramza, right? So in my case, I have an orator with a gun. And I also have on him the knight, whatever it's called, the battle skill set, the knight set where you can do like speed rend or speed break and stuff like that. So what I was doing was speed breaking his ass to try to make him really slow. And the cool thing about doing it with a gun is you can do it from like basically any distance, which is pretty cool.
Sure.
And eventually I beat it, but the problem is after that you're gonna go straight into. He's gonna transform into Belias and summon 3 freaking demons to help him, and you're gonna go directly into that battle. But before we go into that battle, how about your 1-on-1 battle?
All right. So I'll read what I wrote here. So, like you were saying, this is a 1-on-1 fight, and it's like a puzzle fight. Because you can't do like a blow for blow.
No way.
I would imagine it's not designed for that. Maybe you could if you were just like grinding your face off. But odds are that wasn't what they intended. That's certainly not what I was capable of. So at this point, I had save stated myself into kind of a bad spot. So I could go back and grind if I needed to, but not without redoing that last
battle,
fight.
Yeah.
Which I didn't want to do because it was really hard.
Right.
Now, luckily, I had just enough things at my disposal to get through this fight as is.
So what did you end up doing?
So this is interesting.
Okay.
I used regeneration. I had just enough white mage job points to learn regeneration. So at the end of every fight or round, you automatically cast regen on yourself and gain back a reasonable amount of hit points.
Okay.
As my reaction skill, which is reaction whenever you lose HP. And then that plus the chakra heal, because I switched him back to being a monk, so I could actually do damage. That was keeping me alive. Then what I kept doing was I exploited the way his AI works. So Weegraf in this fight has a ranged sword that does like a crazy amount of damage. It was doing like a stupid amount of damage to me ranged. He also has a that same monk skill that we were talking about that hits in a line.
Oh, the Earth Slash one, yeah.
Yeah. So basically what I did was I ran up to him, had him run to me, do that big sword attack skill, which then triggered my regen, so I healed maybe about half of that back. Then I ran away as far as I could go, because the thing is, here's what was happening. He was running up at me, doing the attack, then he would run away. If I let him do his attack on the same turn, that's why I ran to him.
I see.
So I would run to him. I'm getting it mixed up a little bit. I would run to him so he wouldn't have to move.
Okay.
He would then do his attack, and then his secondary action, he would run away.
Right.
Then I would run away, go as far away from him as I could. Then I would cast. First I would heal. Then I would do Tailwind on myself.
Speed up. Okay.
And so I would tailwind myself. Then he would come closer to me, but he still couldn't reach me. Then I would come closer to him so that he wouldn't have to move. He would do his attack. I would take damage, regen. He would back up. I would back up. Then I would heal. Then I would tailwind. You only have to tailwind once to be able to act for me, to be able to act twice to his one move. So you only need 9 speed to be able to have 2 turns to his 1.
Oh, so he only has like 4 speed then? Is that what you're
Something
telling me?
like that. It's quite slow. So once you get 9 speed or more, you're going twice and he's going once.
Okay.
Now, I tailwinded a couple extra times just to be safe. I did, because you can do this indefinitely.
You can,
or at least
yes.
I could, because I had the heals, I had the regen active, and chakra plus on my second turn I was tailwinding. So without chakra and regen both going, he would have whittled me down eventually.
That's that's a sweet freaking strategy, dude. I mean, the fact, of course,
it was barely working because occasionally he would crit.
Oh,
and then I'd be like almost dead.
Wow.
So I was doing this. Then I would focus instead of tailwind. So that's shout in the original translation, which buffs your attack. So I did that a bunch.
Oh, you did the attack buffing one too. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's focus in this one.
It's called focus.
Yeah.
So I did that however many times I did it, and then I one-shot him.
And then you one-shot him. I think that must have set you up really good for part 2, because I think all those stat buffs on Ramza stayed applied, did they not?
They do.
Okay, cool.
Because we can go into it. Let me just see what else I wrote here.
Okay.
Okay, so I focused up enough to where I was like, okay, I'm just gonna bop him on the head and whatever. Then I got to the second phase of the fight, so we can get into that now if you want.
Okay, well, I want to say after listening
more
to
what
your
you did here.
So what did I do? Yeah, I was like I said what I did, which I just freaking tried to speed break him and stay far away from him, and then I did tailwind myself a couple times. Yeah, what else did I do though to really do a good job? I mean, I think I might have magic braked him once to try to make his attack do less damage, hoping that it was a magic attack. I don't remember if that worked. But I somehow stayed far enough away from him because the gun reaches unbelievably far. So so that was helping me out a lot. But now that I hear your that you used regenerate and stuff, I think a really, really, and you only need 9 speed to go twice to his 1. I think a really, really solid way would be something like just simply a knight with white magic, and you cast regen, and then you hit him once with the sword on one turn, and then you just heal yourself with the other turn. But in my case, if my freaking Ramza was a sword user, there's one really, really sweet thing I could have done. I do have, from all this enticing and stealing from enemies, I do have one completely rare, unique item, and that was when we fought freaking Gafgarian, maybe the first time at the gallows, I think it was. And whatever the name of the sword was, I can't remember. But that sword that he has, it's called the Blood Sword. That's right. I have a Blood Sword. And it's not particularly strong, but the thing, dude, every time you hit with it, the amount of damage you deal, you also heal, yo. That would have been a sick freaking strategy to use there, but I was only using guns, so. So yeah, go ahead. Let's go into the part 2. Go ahead. You can go first.
So yeah, like you were saying, part 2 loops right in from part 1 of this fight. This is still, I guess, technically the
same battle since you kept all the. Yeah, I mean, you kept all your speed ups and stuff, right?
There is a battle after this, though.
There's another one, but for now, this battle is just. Well, what are you saying about that?
I think I wrote my notes wrong a little bit here, but so now I know what's going on.
Yes, okay.
So yeah,
we're fighting Belias and 3 freaking demons.
Right. So the fight does transition directly, and you get your party members who you initially queued up for the fight. Like it's kind of a trick initially. Like they give you the option to pick your standard 5 guys, and then it's just you and Wheatgrass.
Right.
And you're like, what happened? I can't do this by myself. And then after you manage to get past this, your guys come in, and he's like, "Oh, we're not fighting alone anymore. All right," and then he warps in two of his
Three.
own guys,
Yeah.
or three of his own
Three of
guys, or
them.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this went really poorly my first time,
Oh,
like
man.
really poorly. And what I had to do initially, you would think I'd be set up really well for that first fight, and I would have been if I had kept the loop going longer, but I didn't.
Wasn't
And
wasn't fast and strong enough, huh?
not quite enough to hit him twice and then get just like fucking wrecked
Right.
by all three of the dudes up there. And I think what I actually did was I hit him a couple times. I may have gotten hit by him, and then I backed up to get him closer to my guys. And, he casts these crazy, gigantic, wide-reaching, I guess they're summons or something.
He cast the freaking Cyclops summon, which is one
Yeah,
of the strongest ones in the whole game. And I
right.
don't know about you, but anybody caught in the Cyclops summon was one shot for me.
Is gone. Yeah,
For you
I
too.
think I had a Dragoon who the only people who were not dying were the people who were fast enough to get out of the way.
Right.
And that meant my white mage and probably my black mage, if I'm remembering right, were
That
just
son of a
not.
dude, that son of a bitch was like I had like people staying far away because Ramza has a gun, he can stay really far away. I have my black mage my ninja who can teleport, so she can get out of there anytime. And my freaking dragoon who can jump into the air. So I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and move into range, but then I'll jump into the air and I won't be able to get targeted. And freaking the dude like totally timed his Cyclops summon to happen right after my dude descended, man, and he got killed or she got killed.
Mm, right. So I ended up in a similar scenario on my first run or my first attempt at this second part. And I accidentally overwrote the wrong save file
Oh my god, like
and
at the
got
worst possible
myself
time, dude.
pretty much and got myself locked into a portion of the fight
Yeah,
of this
mid-fight.
second fight. Yeah, where I just had like very few options. Like I was, all right, what can I possibly do to rescue this?
Yeah.
And I think what I did was I tried a whole bunch and just thought, all right, I can. Because what I didn't want to do was go back to that first Wygraph fight. I was luckily enough, I still had a save from after the castle fight. I didn't have to go
Okay.
all the way back to that, but I was afraid maybe I would. So essentially, what I did is what you probably would recommend, which is just do that buffing loop more.
Yes.
And then that was able to get me to hit Belias for such a high amount of damage that it wasn't a problem. But for a minute there, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do that, and I was like struggling real hard to like rescue that save slot.
Dude, the exact same problem. Although I thought it was fine with the way I saved, and I did have a save from, on the world map, but that means I'd have to go through the outside the gates of Rio Vane's castle battle with Malak again.
I didn't want to do that. Yeah.
Right. So I just kept trying to find ways. I was save scumming like crazy, trying all this
Yep.
crazy stuff. And
Yep.
what eventually worked, I thought I could like rage on him and maybe I would work. But dude, there's no way you're gonna beat unless you have some insane damage output. There's no way you're gonna kill Belias before those 3 demons come and wreak havoc on you. So I was like, okay, I have to take out the demons first. There's no way around it.
You
And
actually did that?
I did that. I mean, I don't. How else? What did you do eventually?
I mean, I buffed myself enough to the point where I could take him out.
Oh, you just took him out. So you went up directly
I
to
did
him and killed him.
Tailwind and then Focus a lot.
Right.
Like I did it against him before he transformed. I don't know how many times I ran that loop, but enough to really get scary because he critted me a few times.
Right.
And if he gets 2 crits in a row, I would die. So I was just really rolling the dice at that point.
Okay. So yeah. So yeah. What I ended up doing was like, man, I was just like trying to be as careful as possible the whole time, and I kept restarting. But what eventually happened was, first thing I would do is I'd take my ninja always goes before anybody else, like even any enemy. Nobody's gone before my freaking ninja. She's amazingly fast, apparently. And I can they don't have any weapons to steal, yo. So, but
Right.
but you can charm the monsters. You can't charm any boss ever, but you can charm the hench demons. So,
Mhm.
and basically the way to decide which one to charm is not the one that has the highest chance of success. No, whichever one's going to take the turn next. So I moved just like, and she can teleport. So I teleported way far away from Belias, but close to the demons. So she was totally in demon range of fire. And I just charmed the first demon that was going to act. And then I took Ramza to like the right side, and from far away, I speed broke. No. Yeah, I speed broke Belias like crazy. I have two people using that speed break or that speed rend ability.
Mhm.
And one of them is a two dual wielding knight, so that means they'll do the attack twice. So one Ramza and one knight with all success. That's like 3 times I've broken Belias' speed, and that's -6 speed.
Whoa.
So that prevented Belias from taking lots of turns, but still, the first turn he ripped some people to shreds either with an attack or with freaking Cyclops. Cyclops was the biggest problem for me.
Yeah, it's a real bullshit.
Yeah, but thanks to charming a demon, he used that one really scary ass, people souls screaming ability. Freaking awesome. Used that on another demon, but for some reason he didn't use it on Belias even while he was still charmed, and instead used it on one of my guys, and I don't know why. I guess they won't turn against Belias, yeah, but they will turn against each other when they're charmed. So that's interesting. And yeah, I don't know, just lots of reloading save states until I finally got not killed.
Yeah, it was tough. Before I did another go at it, I was trying every which way to like hide up on the sides because this map is
Not too
one
huge.
staircase. It's not huge. Yeah, it's tough because it's so small. It's a staircase that runs down. You start at the bottom. He starts at the top in both phases of the fight, and then on the edges of the staircase are little like walkways that you could go up potentially, and then in the middle of between the staircase and those walkways is like a moat.
Yeah.
So your movement options are extremely limited, and if you're going to stand anywhere, it's you're going to have a hard time running away from area of effect abilities, which is all they do. So it's a really rough fight. I'm not sure
Indeed.
what they expect you to do. I feel like it's one of those
I
things
know,
where
right?
it's like you have to find a way to choose it.
I don't know. Maybe if we had lots of good white magic, they're probably weak to holy or something, right? Probably if you had a.
So I read online actually everything I read online about this because I was really having a hard time with it. I came up with my own strategy, just kind of looking at what I had, what resources I had. But people were like, "Well, if you do this and this and this, it's a piece of cake." And I'm like, "I can't do any of
So,
that."
like, what did they say? Yeah, what did they say?
So if you have a chameleon cloak,
Okay, I don't have
that
that either.
isn't exactly. That prevents Ygraph from doing that sword attack,
What? What is a
ranged sword
chameleon
attack.
cloak? What does it do?
It makes you immune to whatever the damage type,
Oh,
or
darkness or
highly
whatever.
resistant, yeah, to whatever the damage type of that move is.
Okay,
He could still do the move and it would still damage you, but his AI is like, no, that's not the right move. I'm going to do
that's
my
cool.
monk skills, which are way weaker.
Okay.
And then I didn't read up on what the popular strategy is for the second half of the fight because I was able to figure that one out.
Okay.
But the first half it's tough. I mean, I don't know if it happens again, but it's the first one-on-one they put you in this game.
Yeah. So I was also curious, and so I went and checked what HC Bailey, the Let's Player, does. And
Mm,
his whole thing is that he gets like every secret and he learns every mechanic, but he tries not to just like grind. He never like grinds mindlessly. He just does everything that the game has to offer and tells you
sure.
everything that's in the game. And so I was expecting a really solid freaking strategy where if you have, because he's freaking, he prepares really well for every battle. Like he goes and changes classes before every battle and stuff. And so I'm expecting that he's going to be like, yeah, so if you use this ability in this class, then they won't be able to do this to you, and it'll be no problem. I expected, dude, he did the same thing you did, dude. He just,
really?
it didn't work at all. Like he just freaking, he just kept speed upping himself and focusing himself during the Weegraph part, and then that like what? So
I was very lucky because that would not have worked if I didn't have exactly enough job points for my white mage job
regenerate, yeah,
to learn regenerate.
Crazy.
I wouldn't have had enough healing.
Okay.
Whew.
Okay, so I'll read my notes. Battle against Belias. Super freaking hard is what I wrote. Can one-shot multiple guys with Cyclops. Yep. Isilud, this is a story. Isilud decided that the stones are evil. He finally decided to listen to Ramza, huh? Isilud is Weegraf's son. He gives Alma his aura sight. That's right, as he's dying, his Zodiac stone. And then Falmarv shows up, wants to kill Alma, but then his stone reacts, for whatever reason, to her. Oh.
Right.
Wait. Yeah, I don't know why. Is it because she's holding Weegraf's one? I'm not sure, but his stone reacts and instead decides to just kidnap her instead. Like, that was important.
Yeah, I think it's actually, it's reacting to her for some reason.
Oh, what could that mean?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And now we're finally at the last battle of this chapter. On the roof of Riovane's castle is freaking, what's his name?
The Marquis Murray.
Well, wait, Grand Duke Barrington is up there, the guy who saved Marlock and Rafa when they were little kids from being orphans and raised them up as his own.
Oh, right.
Right. And so what do I have here? I'll go ahead and just read. Marlock, okay, if I just read this, it's actually kind of hard to understand for the audience who didn't play the game. So he's up there, and he's like getting, what happened? Freaking Marlock and Rafa are like, dude, you didn't just raise us up out of the goodness of your heart. You actually burned our village so that you could make us orphans and then took us in, didn't you? Kind of scene. And freaking he gets mad. He's like, whatever, dude. You guys, I hate you guys now for like turning on me after all this. Tries to shoot Rafa. Marlock jumps in front and takes the bullet for her. And he's about to die. He's laying down on the ground. And then after that, a lady walks up. We're on the roof of the castle, but this lady who's also on the roof walks up behind big, huge, fat-ass Grand Duke Barrington. She picks him up with one hand, lifts him off the ground with her one arm, and with one arm throws him off the freaking roof of the castle, dude.
Tosses him over her shoulder. Just
right. I was like, holy crap. And Ramza at that moment says, be careful, you guys. They aren't humans. And I'm like, what? Right. What are they? And, you can go on with the cursor and look at them, and they have normal names, but I don't know. What are they? Robots? What are they? I don't know what they are.
I assume they're demons or something.
Yeah. Throws, and Ramza says they aren't humans. Okay. And then I wrote, Hugh, almost killing just one of them ends the battle. And thank freaking God. Because, yeah.
Right.
So you fight, the battle is against freaking, what's his name? Limberry, something Limberry. Marquis Limberry. Marcus Elmador of Limberry. Sorry, Marcus Elmador. And then his two female companions, which are robots or demons or something, not normal humans.
Robot demon.
Yeah, and holy crap, do they just have unbelievable damage output potential, yo. It's like, how are you ever going to beat this battle? And I stole freaking Elmdor's sword, and that helped a lot.
Ooh.
But, right, I haven't checked it out yet. But what about those two ladies, inhuman ladies? You got any comments about this one?
Yeah, so I initially sat back in disbelief as I watched the game kill itself.
What do you mean? Hmm.
Because you start with Rafa and you have to ostensibly, she can't die.
Oh, is that
Um,
the was it protect Rafa? Was that the
I believe it is
objective? Okay, yeah.
because when I started the fight, they all go, as is customary in this fucking game. All the enemies go, and your support characters go before you do. Maybe all my guys are just fucking slow, but
Yeah, if you had a
they
ninja,
all
you could go
go
first.
right. And then, as they're going, they just fucking kill her, and they didn't even move. They killed her before I took a single action.
Oh, they killed Rafa before you took a single action?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. And it was game over? I'm just
And it was fucking game over. And I'm like,
okay, yeah.
wait a minute, is this unwinnable? Did I glitch the game out? I thought for a minute like it's a cutscene match where it's like, oh, she's gonna
Right.
die, and it's gonna be like, wow, okay,
Dude.
whatever.
So
So
you
like,
just
wait a minute.
so you
So
reloaded the save state, right?
I reloaded the save state, and thankfully it
It
decided not to do the same thing
Holy
twice.
crap, dude. I guess that didn't happen to me because my ninja goes first, and immediately I just like save scummed the success of stealing Marquis
Mhm.
Elmdor's sword, and that helped
Right.
his first turn be a lot
So
less
that
evil.
brings me to my point again, which I brought up before, is that the random number generation seed in this game is not like Fire Emblems, where it is random. It must be randomly creating outcomes on the fly every time an outcome can occur.
What do you mean? I mean,
So,
yeah, what do you mean?
well, when you go to steal something and it doesn't work, you're reloading that state and then just hitting the button again, right?
I understand what you're saying here now, but I have always assumed that if I press it at exactly the same moment as I every time that the outcome would
That
be the
may be
same.
true.
Because right,
The same moment in real time.
that's what I mean. Yeah. So I'm assuming,
Right.
right, because it doesn't seem to be based off of you pushing buttons or moving or taking actions. You can
Right.
stay, it's like you said, yeah, you can, it says you have 40% chance to steal, and you can be in the, all you have to do is push the circle button to push yes mode
Uh-huh.
right there. Save the state. Click it, you fail, reload it, and I just waited a second and then clicked it, and then it worked. So
Right.
I don't know if, yeah, I am
I don't know if
assuming that
time is actually playing a role. I think what's happening is that may be the case, but I think what's happening is it's creating that random generated number on the fly as the
right.
action executes.
But how does it
Um,
create it? Like it doesn't
it
actually
it
random it, right? It picks it from
well
some parameter somewhere. And so I'm
well
assuming
what yeah, I mean
time is the only
the way computers do it is they have an algorithm they run because computers don't know what random is. So
right, exactly.
there's some algorithm that runs that determines, what
Yeah.
random is. The random generation seed is like as close to random as for practical purposes we can get.
Right.
We don't know what the outcome is, so effectively it's random.
Yeah, effectively it
And
is.
right. So the difference in the way this can be done is when does it run that algorithm? Does it run it every time an action can occur, or does it run it once
Like when you
and
push the button or
all
something. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
right, or beforehand in a way, so that all of the actions that spider out of that random seed then have set outcomes from there. And that is how Fire Emblem does it.
Which one does the Fire
So
Emblem do?
Fire Emblem does the one I just said, where it runs the algorithm beforehand,
Okay.
and then afterward, you would never encounter this realistically unless you were using save states.
Right, right, of course.
So in that instance, if this were Fire Emblem and you could do this in that game, you would always fail. The only way that you could get it to not fail would be to
Back out of the
take
menu and
that.
do something and then try again?
Not even that.
Not
It's
even
all
that.
based on real actions in the match. So if you were in that exact same scenario, the only other way to get it to run another seed is to do any other major action at all, or have another character do
Mm.
another major action, which means move one square, attack, use an item, something
Okay.
that would cause the turn to move over.
Right. So yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. So it just depends on what they tying the random number to, and
Right.
so you're saying that
And
in Fire Emblem
that
it's
dictates
only
it's all
major
of
actions.
everything. Right. So you can't just go into a menu and like flip some pages around, or
Right.
you have to advance the game's turn forward
Somehow.
one for
Yeah.
it to then run the algorithm, and then all the possibilities that can occur off of that are now set. So crits will always crit in that world.
Yeah. In that world, yeah.
Misses will always miss,
Yeah.
and so on.
You have to take another turn and then
Mhm.
come back to it. I
In
see.
order to do it, and
So,
or even take another route to get to that character.
oh
So
yeah,
if you're gonna move your character and then attack, if you move them in a different way,
that might change it too.
that generates a different seed as well.
Okay, so what in the case of me stealing Elmdor's weapon, I walk up to him, I save right on the execute the action to steal the thing. It's like 40% chance or whatever to get it, and I save state right there. I click it, it fails. I reload the state, wait a second, and then click it. Is time not the thing that's just pushing forward the like?
In this game, it might be. I don't know.
I mean, if what I just said is the situation, isn't time the only thing that could be possibly be it? I mean,
No, it could be running the algorithm every time you press yes.
but it runs the
And
algorithm, but
it
nothing has
runs the
changed, right?
algorithm. Well, no, but the algorithm itself is I guess, you know what? I see what you're saying. Because
Right.
it's the same instance of that out. I
Right.
don't
It's
know
the same
enough
instance.
about
Yeah.
how it works. So
I'm assuming that,
you could be
what's
right.
happening here is that with every
Every frame,
second or frame or clock, well, not clock tick, every frame
like,
or something, it's just cycling through these numbers, and
you may be right. Yeah.
40% of them are the success number. Is what I was
That makes
assuming.
sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay. So anyway,
So that didn't happen twice, thankfully.
thankfully,
The
yeah.
random, however it works in this game, didn't fuck me over twice. I was very shocked that was even possible
Yeah, that's
because
evil.
she was getting ganged up on by both of those women,
Mm.
and I'm like, there's no way. She was getting like slammed on the first turn. I'm like, wait a minute, there's
Like
no way she's gonna survive the second attack, and she didn't.
yeah, like every hit they do is like insanely powerful, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
I
And
think one of them has like an instant death move too.
probably. So you start off. This all takes place on a roof, as you were saying, and your team starts kind of down the end of the roof,
Yeah.
and Rafa's more toward the middle of it, and the enemies are up on the pitch of the roof, kind of.
Yeah.
And there's a little back way that you can go along, like a sort of like an awning or something to go back up the other end of the roof if you want. I had a couple guys making their way up there. Like I had my dragoon and someone else like climbing up that way as Ramza and maybe one other one or a mage or something was parked down below to get up the main way.
Mm.
And just like you, luckily I found out, oh, you just have to do some damage
To one of
I
them.
guess, one of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, we're done here. Goodbye.
Yeah. Holy crap, dude. Like that they did such a good job of creating the fear in the player of me anyway, of like how powerful these guys are going to be when you have to fight them later. I spoiled it. Right? You have to fight them later. Aren't you just dreading that fight now?
I would hope I am a lot stronger than I am now because woof.
Yeah, because they do that a lot in games, right? They make you have to die to a battle, and then you're gonna
Sure.
fight that person later, and you're gonna be a lot stronger. And they do it in a lot of various ways. Some games cheat where like the guy that you fight the second time where you can finally kill him isn't actually as strong as the one you
Right.
fought the first time. It's like what? So
Or it's not possible because his HP is like set to max in the first fight.
exactly, stuff like that. So this one, it's like they made it a real fight, but they'll end it as soon as you just deal enough damage. And like, oh my god, dude, those two female assassins are insane.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, what do I have here? Marlock takes a bullet for Rafa. Oh yeah, okay, I read all that. And almost killing just one of them, any of them, I guess. ends the battle. Thank God. Okay, then last bit of story for today's episode. Marlock says the stones are only evil. Oh, so I'm sorry. So before Marlock just died, right? He got shot by freaking Grand Duke Barrington.
Yep.
And then from out of nowhere, whose stone was it? Was it hers? Was it Rafa's? Yeah.
Probably.
I think Rafa had a stone. So let's just say it was
Yeah.
Rafa. Had a freaking Zodiac stone. It floats up and brings Malak back to life. And Malak says to Ramza, the stones are only evil when wielded by evil.
Right.
That was pretty cool to me, I thought.
Yeah. There was a pretty good dialogue here where she's like very sad about what she wanted to do and what they wanted to do together. And then like, I don't know who said it, but one of them said like, oh, the stone is like crying with her. And then Rams is like, wait, don't like use the stone.
That's right.
Don't trust it. Cause
you'll turn into a Lasavio.
Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't do that. And like we were saying, it brings him back to life in a pretty crazy way. And I guess we learned a little more that these stones aren't just complete nightmare factories.
Yeah. And I believe that's everything for today. That was super freaking fun talk for me. I don't know about you.
Well, there was a lot going on, and I think we're starting to get into the meat and potatoes of our builds in this game at this point, and like the action and everything is starting to ramp up.
Totally, yeah. And the story was a lot more straightforward this time. Nothing, not any huge mysteries. More mysteries solved, and I don't think any new ones were introduced, were they? Probably not.
Not super duper.
I mean, the scriptures of Germanique were there, but we read them and we understood them, and yeah. So a lot more.
Starting to come into focus. It definitely is starting to make this kind of grand strategy, empire politics plot is starting to come more into focus.
Definitely, yeah. And I think it's cool how they all this time the War of the Lions was actually set up by the church. I think that's kind of cool.
Typical JRPG villain, the church.
Yeah. Okay. I think that does it for today, man. Anything else?
No, I will just drop one little tidbit here. I read in the forum somewhere along my travels looking up this game. This is supposed to be set way after the events of Final Fantasy XII.
Oh, really?
So Final Fantasy XII was set way before
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is interesting because that is decidedly a more high technology world. So it's like, ooh, that's not good.
If F12 came out first, yeah. So probably what we're saying, all those things in all those broken down machines buried in Gaug Machine City are from Final Fantasy 12 or something. Then.
Yeah, they must be. Or they modeled the 12's plot to be a prequel, essentially, to the story of what's going on here. So, not that I know very much about what that means exactly, but I remember reading someone saying that's what the plot is. Interested to learn more for sure, and really still enjoying the writing. This translation is really well done.
Oh yeah,
very fun to read all this stuff.
Totally on board. I totally agree with that opinion. So the next chapter, this is amazing, dude. The next chapter, which is the final chapter, chapter 4, it's called "Somebody to Love." Sounds like a Queen song or something.
Like a song,
maybe.
Yeah.
It is a song, isn't it? Wait. The first chapters were the Meager. Chapter 2 was the Manipulator and the Subservient, and chapter 3 was the Valiant. Was it called the Valiant in our version too?
I think so.
Okay. And now it's Somebody to Love. That's, totally different mood there. Anyway, it's amazing that it's so ridiculously consistent. Every chapter has 11 battles, but chapter 4 has exactly twice as many as 11 battles. It's like 22 required battles, and there are 6 possible optional battles that you could find if you want to, according to this table of contents of an FAQ that I'm looking at. So I guess, like, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Like, which one should we end at? Should we just do another 11 and then talk? I think we should, right?
I'll aim for that if it seems like things are moving faster, because I don't know about you, but it feels like my build is picking up like momentum. Like battles are resolving more quickly. I'm not having as hard a time with more battles. Not to say that there are no hard battles. I'm sure there's going to be difficulty spikes.
Right.
But we want to aim for 11. That's fine.
Well, it looks like 11 is going to put us in the middle of another series of 3 battles in a castle.
Ooh, what way?
So, how about we go to the whatever
The end of that is?
the end of that is? There's like another different castle right after that. Are we going to be on the world map in between those, though? I don't know for sure, right? But if we are, then I would say let's go ahead and go to the end of the battles at Limberry Castle. You know who's going to be there waiting for us, right?
Oh, our favorite Dracula lookalike.
Yeah, Marquis Elmdor again. Probably his women are going to be with him again, too.
Probably.
So that ought to be fun. Yeah, and hopefully we'll be on the world map again after that, and it'll be a nice story cutoff point as well, hopefully. So that's like 14 battles, though. Or 13 battles or something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, it's 12 battles. That's not bad.
That's not bad.
If you don't do any optional ones, we'll see if you find them at all. You'd have to go. I think to find any of the optional battles, you'd have to like be going out of your way to talk to all the listen to all the rumors at the tavern, and maybe do errands or whatever. And then wait a minute, maybe I can go over here and find something. I think that's how it works, but I don't know. I always just had a guide when I found those. All right, so that's what we're going to go up to. The plan, at least, is to go up to the end of Limberry Castle. And that will do it for today, and we'll see you guys next time. So, good night. Thank you, Mel.
Bye. Have a good night.